Everybody okay? All right. We don't have a microphone tonight, so we're going to have several speakers tonight. And on behalf of Salvador Aguilera, the Kung Fu Club, and friends and family that are all here because they love them so much, I would like to thank you all for attending. Because this isn't an open wake or a casket to view a body. What it is, it's a life celebration. So tonight what we're doing is we're celebrating the life and the legacy of Salvador Aguilera. He's touched many lives, mine, and of course everybody that's here that knows him. So, coming from the heart, if those of you that don't know me, which I know everybody does, I'm going to introduce myself because I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself tonight and maybe say what Sal meant to you, what part of life he may have impacted you, whether you're family or whether you're a student or something. So you'll have a chance to at least say your name because he's up here, he's listening with us tonight. And he's smiling that smile that most of you know. And he's looking at you, you guys are all right. I know that's what he's thinking. So, you know, and that was his wish that that we didn't have a casket or a closed kind of just regular funeral, but just a celebration of life. And I told Sal, I said, Sal, I will do whatever you tell me to do, but just don't leave. It's impossible. He goes, I'm going to leave, and when I leave, you're going to meet me up there in our next dimension, and I'll have the school ready for us when you get there. Just let the students know that when they get up there to be ready, because he'll be up there with a bamboo pole, or he'll be there waiting. And when you walk in the class, you better be ready. So, my name's Dan Martinez once again, and I'm going to let my other brother here, that's the other part of his club, and part of the legacy of the very foundation of this club. I'll let you introduce yourself, brother, so everybody got you.
I'm Ed Espinoza, and Danny and I, our paths crossed with Sal's, and we had a good run, 38 years. And out of those 38 years, got to meet all of you. And I said I wasn't going to get choked up. I'm just glad that I was part of his life, part of his family, and I'm grateful that all of you were part of his family. And I'll let it go as that. I think Danny wrapped it up pretty much.
So what I'm going to do now is I'll try to point to a table or to the people so you guys say your name so everybody knows who you are and say how you may be related to Sal or impacted by Sal if you'd like, whatever. And don't worry if you don't find enough words to say a speech because it's not about a speech right now. And what we're going to do later is Ed's beautiful wife there is going to say a little eulogy for us. And then we have one of our Reverend Black Belts going to come up and close that with a prayer. And then after that, if you want to come up to this podium and you want to say something on behalf of Salvador, he'll still be listening and we can all hear. So I'll start here first. This young lady here.
My name is Melinda Aguilera. I'm Sal's niece. And this is my mother, Dora Aguilera, his sister-in-law. And we're here to thank everybody who is part of his family. We are in Texas, and y'all were here with him, and we are so grateful for everybody, Danny and Eddie, and all his students who were a part of his life and gave him life. I mean, that's what y'all did. You know, you kept him going and everything else, and he's still going. And we just want to say thank you and how grateful we are for you. And we appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll introduce this young lady here. This is Victoria, and this is Sal's daughter.
I want to thank everybody for coming, and my father. We had discussed what was going to happen after he passed away, and he told me to go to where they found me, and I'll wait for you. And when I lay where they found me, and he was waiting for me. He held me so tight that there was no question that he was waiting. He held me so tight, it was so beautiful, that he's not, and when I thought about where he was, it wasn't there. He was there, waiting for me, and he's here with everything. He's not, there is no, this body is such a nothing. The spirit is what lasts. The only thing you carry with you from here to the next place is the love that you have felt, the love you've experienced throughout your life. You take that, because when he held me, when his spirit held me, I felt everything. I felt all of you. I felt all the love that he had for everybody he ever touched. I just wanted to let you know, because he wanted me to let you know that he's still here and he still loves you very much.
So I can add to that, because I know I'll help out any way I can. These are Sal's grandchildren. Can I get you guys to stand up for a minute? And because I just met you for the first time, or I've seen pictures of you. Your name?
I'm Sharla.
Charla? And
My name is Jovan.
Grandpa, good seeing you guys, man. And you was a beautiful man. Thank you for coming. Mr. Raphael, I'll let you introduce your family if you would. And let's say all want to stand up and introduce themselves to
Pedro
my
Rafael Lopez, and this is my staff. He's a great guy, and I really enjoy every minute, when I was talking to him. He's a great person.
Thank you. This is Espinoza.
I'll go last.
Okay. Mr. Zamora.
My name is Tony from Zamora, and all I want to say is Sal changed my life. When I met him, I was doing a lot of different things, and he made me go in a positive way and do what I want, not to care what anybody would say about my decisions that I make. And I'm glad I met him, and he made me see the light. And so,
Ladies.
My name is Vivian Espinosa, and my husband David and my daughter go to class, and so I've known Sal since then, and he's just a great inspiration. And I went to most of the, the picnics and the picnics for his birthday, and I know he had a lot of love for everybody, and I know you guys loved him and appreciated him, and I'm just glad I got to meet him.
If I could add to that, one of the proudest things we have is our families that get involved. So Sarah, who's sitting right next to her, is a black belt of the club just started last year, and it was last year, wasn't it? In the last quarter.
The last black.
And so to have a father and daughter and a black belt of the club, it's kind of what our tradition seems to be unfolding over and over again. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Did you want to say something, Sarah? I'm sorry. You're yours.
Okay. I'm Sarah, and I just started the last black belt with Sal. He scared me, but I know that he had good intentions, and he did.
He scared all of us, Sarah. So.
He did good, and I see why he was so strict. Because it's something serious. I learned a lot.
Art, would you like to say something?
Sure. My name is Arthur Wong. My wife is Rosalind, and my daughter is Leslie. She's also a black belt as well. I remember meeting Sal the first time, and yes, it was extremely serious. It was during the beginning of the traditional Kung Fu practice at the center. And I recall that was just like an army drilling session. And he was the person who was leading everyone doing the exercises. And I said to myself, this man surely has a lot of conviction. And sure enough, afterwards, I had a chance to talk with him. And I found out that he was extremely knowledgeable about the things that he was talking about Kung Fu, about martial arts. about the discipline that's required to be a Kung Fu master. And truly, you know, he is the Shifu, which in Chinese means the master. And I was so glad that my daughter was able to be involved with the club, with Sal, and with all the blacks who at that time were instrumental in getting everybody together to do the right thing, bring the kids from the streets into the community center to learn to do the right things. And clearly, learning about Kung Fu is one of the things to do. And another thing about Sal is that the man had a clear understanding of what humanity is about. He touches people just by the words that he says and by the actions he takes. On the Kung Fu floors, he's going to be tough on you, telling you what is necessary and what you must do. But at the same time, after he's finished, you realize that he has touched you, that he has transported to you a part of humanity that you would never have gotten if you'd not been on the Kung Fu Club. So anyway, I was especially impressed with Sal, and I'm glad that I can say that Sal was my friend. And thank you so much for everyone who's here today.
Wesley, or would you like to say something, please?
Well, yeah, I'm Wesley. I've been a black belt for about 3 or 4 years now, in 8th grade. And I remember that when I was getting my black belt, so it was really hard on me for a little bit, but I mean, it really helped me understand what it means to be a black belt. And I just hope that one day I can have the same passion that he has for what he's doing, and that I can teach people the way that he did.
Want to say something else? Laurie?
I'm Lori Kauka, and my husband and daughter are both black belts in the club. And I took Tai Chi from Sal for, I don't know, about 2 years. And it took me about 2 years to learn the whole set, because we would spend half the time learning the set, and then we would spend half the time talking about what a gentle and calm and peaceful man he was. But you know, that one night he just had to beat the crap out of that guy. Shut up! But it was probably the best 2 years that I've had in a long time. He was very nurturing, very demanding, but in a nice kind of way. I think maybe because I was old, he probably was a little bit easier on me than he was on the kids. But we had some great conversations, and it was a privilege to know him for the years that I did, and I will always keep him in my heart.
Brother Earl?
I'm Earl Covet. I'm one of the black belts. I've been part of the school for about 30 years. And Sal's meant a great deal to me. So I appreciate everything he's done. He's helped me through life a lot. That's all I can say.
If I could add to some of the history for Mr. Kauka, when we were training, as we started out, and Sal was getting us to go to tournaments, Earl was actually the first one in our class to win a first place tournament. So he'll always have that title. He'll always be our number one there guy. You know, and it was the heavyweight white belt division of the California Karate Championships. And I remember it well. I remember it well.
I've been lumping around for about 3 weeks.
Malia?
I'm Malia Pukta now. and I was a student of Sal's. And I can't even find the words. I remember when I came back and started working with him finally, and he was taking the time to break all the sets down. I, to this day, don't really know what move's supposed to go with what, because one day he'd tell me it's supposed to be this, and the next day he'd tell me it's supposed to be that, and no, I told you it's this. So, but I was sad that life took me away from him. And I wish I could have had more time.
Well, we'll start at the back end of the table over there. That would be you, Easy.
My name's Edgar Zajac. Man, I was really shocked to hear about Sal. Me and Sal go back to when he used to live on Tyrell, parking the parking lot. I was a young'un. He was very instrumental to me, you know, for the fact because he tried to get me into something, and I went with him. We worked out in garages, you know, we worked out in churches, schools, and one thing I remember him always saying, he wanted to do something that he didn't have to charge. You know, he didn't want to charge nobody, you know. But because of the way things are in this day and age, you know, but I introduced a couple of your instructors here to the art, and you know, now it's up to them to take his legacy to the next limit, you know, or to the next height. And as for me, I'll drop in occasionally and see how everybody's doing, you know, that's what I do. But you know, I still remember getting punched. I still remember getting hit. And not just myself, by that one over there too. By that one over there too. You know. But you know what? We had a good time. We had a good time doing it. And those are memories that, you know, I may have forgotten a bunch of stuff because this is a family get-together too, and some of my family I haven't seen for 20, 30 years. And I'm seeing them again. And it was Sal who brought us together again, you know. And but if one thing, even though this doesn't work all the time, I have a lot of good memories of Sal, the school, the people I met.
My name is Keith Ortiz. First time I met Sal was 1971. It was at the Kung Fu Academy on 8th Street. Mr. Ao was the instructor there, and all I knew is that every black belt in that school was definitely afraid of this man. When Mr. Ao left that school and went to Santa Rosa, I sought Sal out. Because I knew he was the only person that would be able to teach me the way that Mr. Ao wanted me to go. I remember arriving at the Hayward Kung Fu Club at Tennyson, when they were at Tennyson High School. I remember a lot of them looking at me wondering, who the hell is that guy? How does he know these moves already? But you know what? It was all family. When I heard that Sal had passed, I took a moment to reflect on the people that have been important in my life. And you know, there have been 4 men that have been incredibly important in my life. Kind of my rock of my dad, number 1. Sal is right there, number 2. Sal taught me how to be tough. Sal taught me how to ignore pain. Sal taught me how to be a warrior. He will live on in my life forever. This will always be my family.
I'm Kevin Salcedo. That's my wife, Maria. I'm a black belt from the Kung Fu Club. He's my cousin. I was one of those that had the privilege of getting a bunch of bruises and knocked heads from Sal. Those are all moments and memories that some people might say, how could that be something that you would cherish? But you know what? Something that was a big part of my life. Coming home with bruises, you know what? Man, I was going to learn something next week because I didn't want that bruise again. If you ever got hit by Sal, you know for sure you never wanted to get hit again. One of the only men I know that his fingers were like tree trunks. Sal had a lot to pass on, and he passed it on to these 2 men here. And these 2 men passed it on to us. And Danny and Eddie, you mean a lot to me. You guys carried on the tradition that Sal would instill, and you guys, it's gone on through everybody that is here. I consider it to be an honor to be part of this family. I do. And I don't want to be able to come and I don't see, probably half of you don't know me. But here I am, I'm part of you. I don't make it to all the functions, to the picnics, although I know the picnics were some of the best times. But I would stop in now and then, and I was happy that I stopped in a few months back and I was able to see Sal and talk to him. And that was a special moment to me, that I could keep that with me. Sal had a lot. He was an awesome man. And for that, he'll never leave my heart.
Well, I know Sal through Danny. That's my wife Natalie's. Danny, my big brother there. Well, I know Sal for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and other parties at Mom's house, so it was a pleasure to know him and get to know him, but I didn't know him as tight as you guys did, but just being the hours we had together, you know, there's a lot in there. That, what I got for it was well worth it.
I'm Natalie, and I'm Danny's younger sister, and I'm not her gun twistles. Sal was kind of like an honorary member of our family, and I just want to thank him for sharing his life with us. I know he met my brother at a young age, and my other brothers as well, and it was a very positive effect on their lives. So I just want to say thank you to Sal for letting us be a part of his life.
My name is Dan Martinez Jr., and I'd like to thank him when he was younger, and I think that was a big effect on his life, and my life would be totally different if the discipline that he put in my dad didn't stick. So I'm thankful for that from Sal. And without the club, I met my wife. She was a member when I was 16, sophomore year at the club, and I ended up dropping out because that's how it goes when you're a teenager. You kind of, the club's not important, girls. We're married now, so I'm thankful. My life's been totally different than what it was at the club, and I'm just thankful for that.
I'm Dorothea Cantor, Danny's mother-in-law. I love Sal awfully. I went to the functions where Sal has been, and I'll never forget it. I was never part of anything with Kung Fu, and other than through my son-in-law. Thank you all for coming.
Big D. Come on, Denise. She might be tongue-tied right now, but my wife Denise, everybody knows her already. She's actually been the one that always let me go out and play every Monday and Wednesday night. You guys know what that's all about. Go on, go play your kung fu. Go on. I have to. I love you, baby, for that.
Thank you.
Go play. David, you want to say something?
Hi, David Martinez. My dad's youngest. My sister's dad right there. Dan just spoke. Sal played a very huge role in my life. He was my third grandfather. I grew up knowing this, and he was an amazing instructor and an even better man. And didn't only teach me a lot in martial arts, but he taught me a lot of lessons in life that I'm going to be able to use, for the rest of my life and carry on, on my adulthood. And, to have the courage and strength that he possessed, I can only dream of achieving that one day. And he's definitely a role model that I want to be able to and model myself after. And I'm very thankful for him being in my family's life, because like my brother said, if my dad hadn't met him and he hadn't been a huge factor in my father's childhood, I wouldn't even be here today. I wouldn't even be here today. And I love Sal a lot, and I'm going to miss him dearly. He was a great man. And I wish I could say a little bit more, but I'm getting too choked up. But I love him a lot.
I would like to introduce my daughter, Desiree. Desiree, do you have something you want to say?
Sal was like my first grandfather.
I'm not going to speak, but
He was good. He was hot to me.
he makes fun of my dad.
This is her boyfriend, Victor. And those of you that don't know, Brittany is Brittany. She's a very important part of our family as well. My niece, my sister, my grandma's baby girl. She's a family all the way. Okay, well, we can start from this side of the table if you want, or that side next. Stand up, we would start.
Sí. I'm going to be his interpreter.
Mi nombre es Víctor Pasoldán. Lo conocí a Salvador hace 5 años.
He met Sal 5 years ago.
Desde el primer momento comenzamos a ser un poco más amigos.
From the first moment I met him, we became more good friends.
Y poco más hasta que
More and more.
hace 2 años atrás
2
que
years back,
nos contaban nuestros problemas personales.
we would talk to one another about our problems, personal problems.
Comencé a conocer las cosas que tal vez ninguno de ustedes sabe.
We would learn things about one another, perhaps nobody else would know.
Y en un momento él me dijo,
In one moment he told me,
tienes problemas, no te preocupes más porque yo te voy a ayudar.
you have problems, don't worry anymore because I'm going to help you.
Porque también me contó sus problemas.
Because he confessed also to Victor his problems.
Y me dijo, necesito que vayas a mi casa a vivir.
I need for you to come to my house and live.
Pero le dije, tengo mi familia, mi hija y mi esposa.
Says I have my wife and my daughter.
Y tenemos mucha cantidad para fastidiarte en tu casa. Le digo, de repente no vas a estar contento.
He says we don't want to be any burden or bother you in your house. Maybe you might not be content with us being there.
¿Y por qué no piensas una semana más para que no te emociones porque lo estás diciendo ahora y entre una semana voy a tu casa porque yo vivía en otro lado?
He says that Why don't you just think about it and maybe you'll, a ver, Victor, otra vez?
Que vivía en otro lado y por qué no lo piensas de nuevo.
Yeah, to think it over, to make sure.
Y cuando fui a la semana siguiente pensando que ya cambió de opinión,
When I went the second week thinking that he had changed his mind,
él me dijo,
he told me,
ok, pero ¿cuándo vas a venir?
when are you going to come?
Y mi esposa se puso a llorar y le dijo, gracias por traernos acá. O sea,
My wife began to cry and thank him for bringing us here today.
yo no tuve oportunidad de decir otra cosa porque ya se pusieron de acuerdo para
He says, I didn't
comprometer.
have another opportunity to tell Sal no because they had already put me on the spot and had agreed to moving in.
Hizo muchas cosas maravillosas
He did many wonderful, marvelous things
que yo pienso que ni yo mismo podría hacer por ninguno de ustedes.
He says, perhaps nothing that I could do for, he did wonderful things perhaps that I couldn't even do for any of you.
A pesar que yo me siento una bellísima persona, pero creo que yo tengo que reconocer que él fue mejor que yo.
He says, I consider myself a beautiful, marvelous person, but he is more marvelous and beautiful than I.
A mí me gusta también leer mucho.
I like to read a lot.
Conozco muchas cosas, casi teníamos la misma edad.
We're practically the same age.
Y él me dijo una vez,
Told me one time,
tú eres mi guía espiritual.
you're my guide, my spiritual guide.
Es un gran compromiso cuando alguien te dice eso,
That's a big commitment when someone tells you that,
sabiendo que él es maestro de ustedes.
knowing that he's the teacher of you all.
Y seguí incrementando mucho más la amistad porque ya vivíamos juntos.
Our friendship grew more fondly after that.
Han pasado 2 años de haber estado viviendo con él
2 years passed,
y
living with him.
sinceramente viví los 2 años más intensos de mi vida.
I lived my years with him the most intense.
Porque yo no tenía trabajo, pero estaba con él todo el día.
I didn't have a job, but I was with him every day.
Y pude conocerlo muchísimo, muchísimo, muchísimo.
So he learned more and more about him.
Reconocí que lo más bello que tal vez ustedes no conocen porque
The most beautiful thing about it that you guys don't even know,
un hombre de mucho, por primera vez en mi vida,
for the first time in my life,
agarrar a un amigo, querer despertarlo y que no se mueve y tú no te das cuenta.
a friend that I tried to wake up and that you're unable to understand
Que está muerto.
that he is dead.
Y yo lo movía y lo movía y lo
I
movía.
shook him and shook him.
¡Despierta!
Wake up.
I couldn't understand more.
You couldn't understand why he was dead.
From that time on, I can understand that life is very short. Thanks very much.
I'd like to introduce myself. I met Sal 35 years ago. I was married to him for a short time, but we never really were separated. We were always at each other's side. If he needed something, he called me. If I needed something, I'd call him. But all this, just like friends. And he'll always be a part of me. I love him forever.
This is Becky's daughter. What's your first name again? I'm
My
sorry.
name is Lisa. I'm Sal's daughter. And what I remember most about Sal was when my mom took him at the bar. I was just a little girl, and I remember before career day at school, I told everybody that my mother and my stepdad had a bar. They didn't think that was too funny. I remember always being scared of Sal, of that voice, and Mama. I used to call my mom that all the time. And I remember when he used to sit in the living room, Connie and the rest of them, playing the guitar. And that's how I would like to
sick, and it just was bad. He suffered, but he's free now. And that's how I like to remember him. And I think it's great that everybody's here to say such great things about him and that touched so many lives. Thank you.
Marie, would you like to say something?
My name is Maria Elena Martinez Robles. I'm Danny, and Toby's aunt and the Martinez is Reyes. Sal and I have history. In the early 70s, he was my first love. Oh. But his mother was and my family.
He lied to me then, he told me. He said, Mama, I'll love you till the day I die. See, he's even in trouble now. There's one right here.
But he'll always have a special place in my heart. He'll always be Sal.
Sal.
And I still love him. You know, I'm happily married. I have a husband, but the love that I have for Sal will always be there. But I love my husband.
This is sad.
It's a different kind of love.
That's what I'm saying. You can love in many different
Yes.
ways.
Chris? My name is Christine. This is my daughter Shannon. We both had the opportunity, along with my two nephews, to be part of the club for only a short period of time. Our loss. I wish that we had more time with Sal. He was hard. He was rough. I had the opportunity to get hit by him one time. It knocked the wind out of me. And I know a lot of the kids may be a little, afraid of him, but he had a big lesson to learn, that he had a great heart. And all he wanted was to show all kids who had the opportunity to work with him what it takes to be devoted to something that you care about, whether it's family, whether it's your school or whatever. Just stay focused, and it will definitely impact your life, and he will be very missed.
And the one thing I always remember is he was seeing my cousins. What are you doing?
That's right.
They remember the best part of that.
I won't stand up because I had some back surgery and it's really hard to move. But I'm here representing the Espinosa family. Carmen Espinosa is my mother and also Edward's mother, Eddie. And I'm the old sister Antoinette. My mother, she cried when we heard that we lost Sal. But I have to say, my mother really wanted me to say something. Sal was a real true friend and a backup to every parent. You kids were all little guys, and you grew up to be such fine men. The lessons that you learned from Sal, not to run away from life, face whatever comes your way, and try to do it with respect and pride. And you guys are all here, the finished product. My mother loved him too, and Sal was like a second father till my brothers, I know that. And my father, we lost him 5 years ago, but he really respected Sal and everything that Sal did. The Kung Fu lessons were not just Kung Fu lessons. They were more than that. They were life lessons, and they appreciate all the time that he gave all you boys. Now you're men. And thank you so much. You touched us all.
I'm Joy Hale. I'm Ed's mother-in-law. And I first met Sal when he was the best man at Ed and Ellen's wedding. And I think the next time I got to meet him, my grandsons were getting their first belt. And I got to come and I saw the most awesome demonstration of martial arts by Sal. He was something I couldn't even believe what he was doing. It was just beautiful. And I loved him, and I thought he was a wonderful person. And it's nice to be here celebrating his life.
My name is Edgar Espinosa. I'm Ed's daughter, and I would have to say Sal known me since I was born. And you know, all I knew of him before was, I would say, being at Kung Fu and yelling at everybody. And you know, you're just like, wow, he takes this pretty serious.
It's pretty serious.
In this last year, I've been really sick, and Sal's was sick too. We kind of went through it together, and I don't know, I'm glad I got a chance to talk to him the night before he passed away, and I really loved him, and it was just a privilege this last year of my life to really be able to get to know him, and begin to get to know him and who he was. So I'm just very thankful. God works in mysterious ways. He kind of brought us together through pain, but you know, I learned from him, and he was an awesome man. That's it.
Hello everyone, I'm Matthew Espinosa. It's my sister, my brothers, and Edward's father. I first knew Sal as a child growing up, and always dreaded him coming over the house because the first thing I was getting hit, you know, shake the hand, and where was it coming from? And you know, I'm sure for many of us it was that way for years until maybe you're about halfway through the system and you realize that if you ever have a question, if you ever doubt, is my hand supposed to be here, or is my hand supposed to be there? Before that thought can even finish, he's telling you that your hand is in the wrong spot. And he was the perfectionist that made this style what it is today. Much like Danny's children, he was a grandfather to me growing up. And after I moved back to the Bay Area 3 years ago, I started spending a lot of time with Sal. And he kind of transcended from being a grandfather to being more of an extra father. He gave me a lot of lessons on life, things he was going to do, situations that I would talk to him about, and he'd give his advice about, you know, the other way to look at the situation, you know, remove myself from the situations. An amazing amount of patience and temperance. And the one thing I could say about Sal is he was always able to find the redeeming quality in people that other people might not see. Other people that you might want to give up on and say, you know, I don't like that guy, he's useless, or whatever. If Sal could put a gi on him and teach him to stand right and teach him to kick right, he's one of us. And that's something that I hope to see continue on for years. I can't say without my regret is that I did want to finish and complete my training while he was able to see it. I do know that he is watching and will be for many years to come. And I, and in addition, probably a lot of you are going to do, I'm making a note to myself to do what I can to learn everything that he has seen in his life if I can.
Junior, and although I didn't take many lessons from Sal at school, I grew up knowing him as the thing he would say as another father would have. And one thing I'll never forget is all the respect that he gets from everyone that he knows, and he deserves it. It's just who he is.
Hi, I'm Shawnee Espinosa, Ed's niece. I got to meet him a couple times on patients
Would you like something to say, sir?
That's but I always remember that he was like so fast, and I always wanted to be like him when I grew up. But yeah, I do regret not keep going to the lessons. I just wish I could spend more time.
Can we back up for a minute and let the two men there introduce themselves? Could you, sir?
Andres Espinoza.
Andres Espinoza.
From Salsa.
Very good. And how
Also,
about-
Andreas' father was a
Yes.
brown belt, correct?
Yes.
Your brother, Chuck? He was a brown belt.
Yes. Your name, sir. Stand up.
Isaiah Espinoza Park.
And how do you know Sal?
First time we went to lessons.
Right on. Great. Thank you. Ramon?
My name is Ramon Martinez. My sister's Maria and they're Dan's uncle. I actually knew Sal from more of a distance. Sal was a regular attendee at our family reunion picnics every year. And I always knew he was a man that should be respected. But I learned that he was a man that you could respect. We had a lot of conversations. I enjoyed his company. And all of the stories you talked about here today, his commitment to his training, his commitment to teaching, his compassion, all of that came across at our picnics when he was there with us, but in a very subtle way. He was never flashy about it, but you saw this subtle conviction, this subtle strength that he had. And I always respected that. And the whole bonus was that I met a very good person as well. So I was very lucky to know him and to meet him and become a friend of his. And he will be missed because we considered him an extension of our own family. And we'll miss him a lot.
How about you, young lady? Stand up. I'll introduce this young lady for you. This is my mother. And she could say something for Sal if she would like.
My name is Mary, and Daddy's mom, and I'm very grateful to have known Sal, and I'm grateful for what he did to my son here. The other words he said. Saved them from being out in the streets and taught the good side of life. And I'm very grateful to have known such a big and tall man that he wasn't.
Yeah.
And we'll miss him for Thanksgiving and Christmas because he became part of our family. And I'm very grateful to have known that he had such a big family.
Actually, you know, the last time I saw him on Christmas month, he said, you know, I'm only here for food.
My name is Jenny Martinez, and I too, like Edgar, grew up on Tyrell, and knowing Sal. I can remember back then, he played in a band with my uncle. I can remember hearing him sing, hearing him play the guitar, actually knowing you. My grandparents lived right across the street. Oh, really? Yes.
Rick Martinez, I'm Danny's brother. And I just want to remember Sal for the way he took care of my brother. And when he came around our family, like they say, he spent Christmas, Thanksgiving, most of the holidays with us. He was always a good man to talk to, had a lot of respect for everybody. And he would sit there and listen to you, and I'm really going to miss him, but I'll always remember him. Thanks.
He was always my godfather. I always remember him by he would always go to his room, watch TV, and yell at me because he's been talking with the blues. Other than that, he was very tough, but he had a big heart sometimes. And he would always go to the food club, and like me and my friends, when we were there, he would always say, "Oh, let's get better because Sal's here today," so we wouldn't get in trouble. And, so I regret that I didn't get to finish Kung Fu when he was here. But yeah, I really loved film stuff, and I wish he was still here to teach me how to live life and the rules that is beyond.
Hello everyone, I'm Lori Mullen. I'm the owner of Black Tiger Academy, which is the sister school to the Hayward Kung Fu Club. And Master Sal came into my life about 4 years ago when I reached out and I sought the help of the Hayward Kung Fu Club. And Master Sal and I have been training every other Thursday for about 2 years. And I would go to his home, and I learned so much from him. And he was a very hard man, but I really got to know the soft side of him. We sat for the longest time and talked, and he shared stories. And 2 weeks ago when I trained with him, we talked about all the things that we were going to be doing in our next training, and all the things he was doing at the Hayward Club, and how he would come and sing at the Watsonville School. And he's going to, I have a horrible, painful heart, hole in my heart right now. I don't know what I'm going to do on those Thursdays. It's every other Thursday. It's going to be very painful. And thank you for letting me be part of this family.
Excuse me, but it's hard. It's just hard to grieve the absence. I'm really gonna miss the big hand, the big handshake.
That would do that, he'd rip your arm off when he meets you. Reach you. Crack!
Yeah. He showed me a lot. And basically, I've always used it in a positive manner. I can recall my own boys, they had wanted to cross the line and said, hey, this neighborhood here, there was a kid that they knew of that they were harassed, and they go, come on, let's go. I says, no, I can't do that. Kung Fu it's not for that. And so I chose not to and went the other way. They harassed the guy so bad that the guy ended up blowing his brains out. And it just taught me, you know, that, wow, what I've learned from Kung Fu, which Sal was, he was the root, the main root. And it's unbelievable. I wish everybody in the whole world could learn Kung Fu and all the positive that just bursts out from it. I had gotten sick and I recovered from the sickness, and then I got sick again. You know, I was a welder, Sal was a welder, and here I was a welder, so we had this, you know, this common bond, and I'd share with him what I was doing. I got to work on one of the big projects here in California, which is the eastern span of the Bay Bridge. And it was right there, you know, everything, all the welding and stuff, and they came across a problem, and I thought, oh shit, I know the perfect guy that would have the solution to this. And I told Sal, I says, and Sal says, well, I gotta stay away from that stuff. You know, the doctor says, no. And I was, oh, you know, it would have been ideal for him to come in and just troubleshoot this problem that we had. And yet I shared with him what I was doing and stuff, and just that connection with another individual, it's real important. He showed me that, and whenever I run into somebody, I try to get the connection. What's the connection that we have? You know, I talked to Danny on the phone. I found out Thursday evening that Sal had died, and right away the connection was him and Sal, you know, were like father and son. I had my shot at father and son with my stepfather, and he passed away at 47 years of age. And he showed me some things, and basically, you know, we get to take pieces from each and everybody's life and apply it to what's in front of us. That goes with that little baby there, you know, whole big package. But I'd have to go on all night to tell you how much it has impacted my life. You know, I'm still alive, and that's by Sal used to talk spiritual, you know, a lot of spirituality, and I had to find my own piece of understanding of God and just keeping it simple, because, man, without someone like Sal as a father, just to come on and just run you through life, it's hard, and you know, you make mistakes, and you have to, just like somebody was saying, you get up and you go, you know, just tough it out, you know. There's Sal. Now I have Sal right here. I have my son, my grandfathers. There's a lot of them out there that are watching over us, and take them and use them because they love us. That's what love is. They care, and they'll show you, and just got to reach out. That's it.
David, you got something you'd like to say? The last one.
My name is Dave Espinoza. I'm Ed's cousin, Matt's cousin, Andreas' cousin, Andrea's cousin. I started about 74, and my father used to force me to go. Once he knew Ed was taking lessons, he made me and my brothers go. They lasted 2 weeks and quit. And I learned some harsh lessons there through Sal. I remember when I first saw Sal, I was so intimidated. There's these pictures here. He wasn't much older than that. And when he'd hit people, that stick. And my father we lived in Fremont, so my father would bring me to Hayward. Him and Sal would go drinking, and I was like so grateful that he took me. With Sal gone, Ed would take over. And I told his sons tonight, and I tell other students, I used to go home with knots on my head. Because if my hands were down, he would back fist me. You know, and I learned the hard way. And today, the way we used to train is called child abuse. You know, but Sal and I, as some of the current black belts know, we butted heads. We butted heads big time, and part of it was I wanted to speak my piece, and I wasn't exercising a whole lot of respect in the right way, and Ed tried to correct me, and Dan tried to calm me down, and I was one of the few of the latest black belts that he took when I got my black belt for almost a year and a half aside every night and trained me and broke down every form for me, damn near broke every bone in my body. But he took me personally and broke everything down. He showed his patience, his experience, his passion for the arts. And I got to know him through Watsonville. I used to take him out there. And, you know, between here and there, I never had a long conversation with Sal, and a little over an hour drive, you had to talk. And, you know, you would talk, then he would be quiet, and all of a sudden he would start laughing, and I didn't know if he was going to hit me or what, because I'm driving. Okay, and the part that I learned a lot is when we went through the farmlands, you know, he used to see, hey, he started calling people out the window, and he said, that's how it was growing up. That's what I like. That's so peaceful. And he talked about it going through and going back. And you know what? As many trips we went out there, it was the same story every time. But you know what? He was at peace. He loved it. He enjoyed it. He shared that with me. And he said when he was growing up, one of his favorite jobs was the irrigation, because back then they had the ditches and they filled with water. And he told me I always volunteered for that because I can lay down in the ditch, put my hand over in the ditch and fall asleep, and when the water would fill up, it would wake me up and he'd need the water. He said I was smart. I was littlest, but I was smart. You know? He told me a lot of stories about his military and about his martial arts, and I did a lot of research on Haku. I found the original creator, and I learned that, you know what, Sal is a true master. He did create his legacy, and he did make this his system. You know, and yes, there was a lot of changes, and we got pissed every time he changed it, but we learned it. We did what he told us to do. And now we're trying to pass that on to the other students that want to fight it. No, it's this way, you know, and I know what Master Sal wanted. He is a true master. And about a week before he passed away, I called him because he had been sick and I don't like going to the hospitals. And he said, "How you doing, Sal?" And he said, "I'm doing good." He's always been polite and gentle with me and courteous to me on the phone and always wanted to listen. And he says, "You know, there's some techniques I want to show the black belts, and the black belts only." I went, "Oh, geez." And he says, "I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I know in the back of my mind," he does a lot of thinking, he's into it. He's always thinking of different ways to apply the techniques. He says, "I'm almost better, I'll be there soon, and I want to show just you black belts, and but I just want you guys to pass it on to advanced belts only, because you can hurt somebody, you can kill somebody." And he said, "That's the last thing I want to do, and I'll retire. I'm done. I feel like I've fulfilled my commitment to this." And for the first time, I took it really seriously when he said that, you know, and almost a week later, you know, I got the call from Ed and telling me about what happened. And, you know, it didn't sink in. It was on a Tuesday, and on a Wednesday, I got a call from Dan or Ed, and they said, "You know, can you make an announcement in class?" So I did the right thing, what I was taught from Dan and Ed and Sal, the meditation. I went in, I got there late from work, and I told everybody, "Kneel, bow your heads. We lost our master. Let's give a moment of silence." And for the first time in a very long time, all positive, all good thoughts went through my head about him. All the things that he had done for me went through my head at that time, and I realized what I had lost when we lost him. It took all that time. It took this for me to realize what he had done for me, you know, and being at the Gung Fu Club, learning from Sal, learning from Dan, learning from Ed, and like everybody's saying, it puts you in the right direction. I would never be a teacher like I am now if I didn't get the experience that I got from this school. I teach high school kids, go figure, you know, and every time I get a troubled kid like I was, I just said, just think, karma, I got to straighten this guy out, you know. And I've had a couple students from my school attend school and loved it, and he's just had so much to offer, and I know in my mind that we're going to carry this legacy on for him, you know, forever, as long as we can, because this was Sal. He lived for Gung Fu and breathed for Gung Fu, and we all know that, you know, and there was a compassionate side to him. And when I lost my father, Ed's father was the last brother left and was like a father figure. When he lost his father, Sal kind of was that father figure, you know, and I just appreciate all you that made it here. Lori came from Watsonville, family, of course, from Texas, you know, and I'm glad I was able to be here tonight because I had a prior commitment, and it just worked out where I can be here. I'm just proud to be a black belt at this club.
Without further ado, Colleen is going to say a little eulogy for us. And we have one of our black belts. It's a reverend at the Templo de la Cruz. He's going to get up and say a little prayer for us. And once again, you know, I know it's a little different than what we normally do in a wake or a rosary. And, it was a celebration of life that Sal wanted, you know, everywhere where he impacted us, everywhere where it changed the direction, just like water changes from a stream and it may alter. Somehow we got a little altered. And even though a lot of us aren't in the martial arts class, it's not really about the martial arts class. It's about humanity, how we change ourselves. And I'm grateful that so many people did turn up for this, you know. And somewhere along, somebody needs help, and we'll all stop by one lesson or another and try to help somebody along the way. That's part of life's lessons, and thank everybody for being part of it.
My name is Colleen Espinoza. I am Eddie's wife and mother to those children who said that he was their father. So anybody's, you know. And I actually met Sal through Eddie. In fact, like David, I met Eddie at Gung Fu school, only he was a teacher and I was a student. It's another story. You guys all had great things to say, and they had asked me to give this eulogy, and I think some of the things I just want to make it brief to kind of tie up Sal's life a little bit. This is a really hard act to follow. But I think maybe what I say, it just all kind of brings it all together. And I did write some things down, so so I won't lose it. But Eddie was one of the first black belts at Sal's school when it was the Gun Fu Academy on A Street under Steve Al. And when he started school, he was 14 years old, and you were actually getting beat up a lot at school. And your dad said that if you kept coming home beat up, that he was going to beat the crap out of you. So he said, well, I know this guy can take martial arts. Would you please sign the permission so I can take martial arts? And his dad said, no way, you'll just fight more. So Eddie did what bright young boys do when their dad says no. He and that began a relationship for, like you said, 38 years, almost 40 years. Sal was born and raised in Texas. He wasn't originally from California. And what most of you probably don't know who look at Sal as a father figure was Sal's father passed away when he was very young. And then so did his older brother, Jose, right? Jose. And Sal took the part of being the head of the family when he was just a boy and helped his mom, helped raise his other younger brother. And he loved music. He pretty much self-taught himself through school because he didn't have anyone really who took that father figure for him. He self-taught himself to play the guitar. He was a musician. He was a wonderful singer. That was his record, the music that was being played earlier. For those of you who don't know, it's a 45 of Sal's band. He sang at our wedding. He sang Scene T. That's without you. Those of you who speak Spanish. And when he let me see, where am I at? I'm sorry. After high school, when he joined the Marines is when he learned martial arts. He started taking it in the Marine Corps. And one of his last places that he was stationed was here in California. And he liked it, so he stayed. And his mother actually moved out to California to be with him after that time. And he took care of his mother pretty much until the day she died. He was the father figure for her. He was her companion. He was her friend. And I remember when I didn't know Eddie too long when his mom passed away, Sal's mom passed away, and part of him died. He was just the perfect son. I know now that he's with her, and it's wonderful, and with his brother, and with his father, and his other brother. That sounds so, other brother. Okay. Where was I? Most of you have said that Sal was a hard man, and he was. He expected commitment, and he expected excellence from everyone, and good enough was not good enough. And as the last few years, when he was getting older and he started losing his hearing, he pretty much expected excellence from you at the top of his lungs. What are you doing? See, when you say, what are you doing? No. It was, what are you doing? Right? And he'd throw in a few expletives and adjectives and all the parents are just kind of, dying. But he loved the martial arts and he lived for it. And he never stopped trying to learn. He was a 6th degree black belt, 6th degree, and he had some abilities that amazing for those of you who really knew him. He kept trying to learn the martial arts, but he also kept trying to better himself physically and emotionally and spiritually. He was always reading, always learning. He was raised a Catholic, but he always studied extensively Eastern religions and was hungry to understand who he was in this world and who God was and what life was all about and what death was all about. And I think he has his answers now, and I think he's looking down, saying, "You guys, I'll be here when you get here, and get lower in your horse stance, just look down there." It's assumed pretty much in this society that we're in that success measured by, you know, how much money you have and where you live and how nice your house is and what kind of car you drive. And I know Sal didn't live by those standards, and he didn't have a fancy house, and he didn't have a lot of money. And if you've seen his car, okay, but I mean, to hear people here speak about him, the love that he had, and the respect that he had, and the people who aren't in this room who loved him and respected him, and he was a very, very rich man with the family and friends that he has. I'd just like to read a quick verse from Ecclesiastes, chapter 4. It says, 2 are better than 1 because they have good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. And I think Sal has that with everyone here. I'm going to miss you. You've touched all our lives and have brought all of us here together, our friends and our family. And thank you for being a teacher and for being the successful man that he really was. Thank you. And Keith, if you want to close?
Kevin.
Oh, Kevin, I'm sorry.
No, wrong
Let's
cousin.
try that again.
Starts with a K.
Nice
but
segue.
It ends different.
Kevin, by the way. It's got a couple quick things I just want to share. Kevin Salcedo, I'm a black belt at the Hayward Gun Food Club, and now I'm currently the assistant pastor at Templo de la Cruz. Since I left the Gun Food Club, I've carried on with my training. You might find that a little different, but we all have one common denominator. And that common denominator, of course, is Sal, and it is that we have one way or another practice Gung Fu. Gung Fu is a way of training and teaching your body and your spirit. We go through the part of training our body. We've all done it. We've talked about all the hard knocks we've taken, the lumps that have come along, and lumps that we've appreciated. But what I want to share with you today is a little bit about that spiritual training that we have to go through. When we got our black belts, I remember Sal used to tell us, now that we put our time into you, and now it's up to you to go and get something and bring it back. And bring it back to and share it with the club. Well, tonight I just want to share with you, I consider this an honor, and I want to bring something back to you tonight. This is what I have to bring back to you. Is that I have gone on and I've learned to train up my spiritual man. You see, our physical man, the Word of God teaches us that it is appointed for everyone to die. We all see that will happen. Each one of us is going to face that day when it's going to happen. But it is our spiritual man, that which is inside of you, the life that is in you is never going to die. It's going to carry on. And that is what is going to head into eternity. And I've decided and I've chosen to focus what I have to train up my spiritual man. And it is something just like the training that we've all been through. You know what? You start off small, you start off learning, and you constantly grow and you grow and you grow. The Bible teaches us that it is God that is the giver of man's first breath. And it's God who decides when that last breath is going to be. The Apostle Paul says, I die daily. What do you mean I die daily? What he means is that every day he died to himself. Every day he trained his body to not do the things that our body naturally wants to do. To do the things that are destructive to our body. To do the things that will be destructive to our soul. To be destructive to our spiritual man. But it is what he does is he had devoted his life That he would die to himself, that he would grow spiritually. And that as you grow spiritually, you have that focus. And you have a focus that is on your spiritual eternity. Because each one of us, no matter where you believe, and I'm not here to preach religion to anybody. I'm not here to preach denomination. But there's one thing that is for sure, is that we have a spirit, that you have a spirit. And I believe everybody agrees with that. And that is what I want to pass on to you tonight, is that you need to train up your spirit. Because we need to be true to our spiritual man, which is inside of us. Jesus Christ came and said, he said, he that believeth in me, even though he might die, he will live. We have a chance and we have a hope. Wherever you might be today, whatever your position might be, know that there is going to be a time, that you're going to come and you're going to face your Maker. Your spirit will go into eternity. And what I am here to try to pass on to you is to train up your spirit. Train up your spiritual man. Take the physical teachings that we have learned and take all that we have learned and apply it to the inside. And I know many of you probably have. We've had many men. Sal has put his life into teaching us how to train up our bodies. Sal and Danny and Eddie have poured their life's blood into us. And they've taught us how to defend ourselves. They've taught us how to defend our families. As Tony put it so well, when he had the opportunity to do evil with what he had learned, he walked away from it. And Tony, my hat's off to you. Because that's the way that we have learned. That is what we have learned, what it's all about, is to walk away from what is bad and to build up what is good. And I think we can agree on that, can't we?
Yes.
Build up your spiritual man. You know what? When I stopped practicing every day martial arts, because as you know, it's a commitment that's every day. And when I started going and putting my time and effort into spirituality and to my spiritual relationship with God, there's a lot of people that thought, you know, man, Kevin or Sal, a lot of people knows me as Sal, my last name is Salcedo. And they would think, wow, you know, you've gotten boring. For those of you that know me, I wasn't a boring guy. And I was right there, like to mix it up. But you know what? Training up the spiritual man is not boring. Training up the spiritual woman, that spiritual being inside of you is not boring. But it's something that is illuminating. It's something that you can take on with you. It's something that when you're sick, it's still there. You can train up. It's something that when you have a bad back, when you are laid up in bed, no matter what condition your body might be in, your spiritual person is the thing that is going to rise up to the top. And that's what I have to pass on to you tonight. Be true to who you are. And who you are is inside of you. It's in your spirit. Right now, Sal's body has been laid to rest, but his spirit has moved on into eternity. I'm going to say a little prayer. That's all right with you. Let's all bow our heads. Father, I thank you for the opportunity for all of us to be able to come together here. We come here, Father, with one purpose, and that was to lift up Sal Aguilar. He has been a man that has touched each and every life that is here in so many different ways, and many of us have known him through different times of his life, but through each person that he has touched, we all have something that we take with us. Lord, we are gathered together and we present him to you. We put him at your feet, Lord, and for you to do your will with. And I pray, dear God, that out of tonight, that we would continue to grow as a family. I pray that your spirit would be able to keep us as one. And that as the years come and as the years go, we would never lose touch, but we would always come together. And more than all, I pray that you would give us the strength and the wisdom to build up the spiritual man and the spiritual being which is inside of us, that we would be true unto you. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. Amen.
So, for our celebration of life, the life of Salvador Aguilera, friends, students, classmates, proper closure for tonight is if you would like to eat and still enjoy part of our feast and part of our drink, welcome to this finish. I know, I don't know what time it is, but I'll let you finish. At 10 o'clock, we don't have the building anymore, but until then, everybody's welcome.
This won't last till 10 o'clock, I promise. With everything going on, I have this paper from my brothers, his oldest nephews, Angel and Arthur Aguilera. They were unable to make it, so they emailed me through the power of email, you know, and they wanted me to read something to y'all. It says our name is Angel and Arthur Aguilera. This isn't supposed to happen. It says we are Sal's nephews. We were very sad about our uncle's passing. He was very much close to our heart, and we loved him so much, more than we could explain. Uncle Sal had lived a long life full of accomplishments and goals that he set for himself and wouldn't stop until they were accomplished. He is such an inspiration to us and those who have had the opportunity to become close to him. The more we thought about his passing, the sadness went away. You see, Uncle Sal has left a long-lasting legacy, which is what everybody's been talking about tonight, that will last longer than me and others through his teaching of Kung Fu. He has taught so many young and old the discipline of Kung Fu. It was such a passion of his to teach because he loved it so much. We look back now and we see how lucky we were to be a part of his life. We feel as though we are put on this earth for a reason. Some of us won't ever know the reason until we get older in life, yet sometimes it is still left unexplained. But we can proudly say, Sal was our uncle, and we loved him more than words can say. Arthur and Angel Aguilera. And with everything that was said, and Uncle Sal coming to California, and like she stated, he was from Texas. There were so many things that, his music, he started playing music when he was in his teens. I mean, that was his inspiration, was music. My grandmother would have him come to her clubs, and he would play for them. And I mean, for him to be as young as he was to come and play, that was his inspiration. Then, of course, he left and came here for the Marines. But he had so much life. I mean, and so many things people didn't know about until this past week.
Like his first love.
Uncle Sal was an amazing guy. He was had led many adventures, put it that way. And he was a lot of people's first loves. I mean,
We knew that already. We knew it already.
I found that out 5 years ago.
Rub it in.
Speaking of that, I found that out 5 years ago when I was fortunate enough to come down here and help him out and stay with him. Looking through our family albums, and he had talked with me regarding my mother. You know, apparently he knew my mother before my father. So, but with all that, he's still my uncle, and there's nothing I can say about it. But that was just a little something from us. Every family, he keeps us going. He really keeps us going. From years now, we might find out other stuff. Through the power of internet, works wonders. But that's all I have to say. And thank you very much for everything that y'all done for him.
And on behalf of the Aguileras, my thing of coming down here was to personally thank Danny and Eddie and all his family that he had here. That's the main thing he kept telling me, is make sure you give him thanks. He loved Eddie, and he loved Danny and their family. He talked about all these get-togethers he had for Christmas, because he couldn't make it, or we couldn't make it. But he had his family here, and he loved them, and he adored them. Now, he's going to be cremated, like his mother and his brother. I have both of them in my home. his wish was for me to take him back and put him next to his mother and his brother. So I will have him in Texas with me. And I would like to thank all of y'all very, very much.
So back to the end of our life celebration. We still have food, we still have drinks. Stay and enjoy yourself. Sal would like that very much. The other thing, we've always took the time to have a festivity for our club because of all the bumps and bruises and all the people that just are involved in what Sal started, from me and Eddie all the way down where David picks up. Everybody picks up the ball and runs with us in this club. I could never lay claim to saying that I made the club survive when I think everybody that has part of it, including my mother, my brother, my sisters, the friends, the family, the aunts, the uncles, anybody that's associated to part of that is always welcome. And we've agreed that what we're going to do is we always had a summer picnic and we always threw Sal's birthday in it. It's around September 7th. So keep that date in mind because that date will always be Sal's memorial picnic and our gung fu or family club reunion. So think about September and look versus the first week. Second week we'll have it posted on our website what day it is, and that'll go on for eternity, I hope. I may not be there the first one in the morning one time, guys. Somebody will be there. Somebody will be there because I'm usually up at crack of dawn.
Somebody else do it.
So why are you up at 4 o'clock in the morning? I say, I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning so we get the best spot.
That's what sons are for.
Yeah.
So, he's a grandpa now, he's getting older.
We will continue to do that tradition, and we'll continue to have a reunion. And thanks to everybody that could make it, and all the family, and the grandchildren, and the cousins and aunts that we have never had really the opportunity to meet. I hope that you can make it to one of our reunions because it's going to be something always to remember, hopefully. We get out and we really have a good time. So, everybody, thank you for attending, and that's what a life celebration is about. I think we did a good job. Great. Yes, Tim.